Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Neutron 570. This is the comedy section. You are welcome. Thank you all. Hello. Sit back, relax, and get ready for some funny stuff. I'm telling you, this is like, you can't make this stuff up. It's already actually videos on my channel that are already on my playlist. Listen, my channel is free. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like, comment, hit the alert bell. Sit back, relax. I'm about to make you laugh. All right. These are stories that are on the playlist on my channel under comedy. All these stories. But I'm going to do it in one show. I got it all written down. I never try to put it all in one because I'm going to redo the comedy section of that section. And once I get this whole thing in one show and combine all the material, I want to put it on there and then get rid of all the old ones once I get the perfect combination of the material I wrote. All right, sit back, relax. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Neutron 570. Let's take it back, ladies and gentlemen, to about 30 years ago. This is a hot box story, okay? This is me and my two cousins. We had an old Chrysler van. The square body ones, you know what I'm saying? The old ones. And we were going on a little smoke run, you know, back in the day. And we all go in the van, you know, we light up, you know, and we jamming. Oh, Leaders of New School came on. That was when Busta Rhymes was with him and stuff. Row, row, like a dungeon dragon. The freaking van door slid off and slid across the road. I was like, oh my, I was like, yo. First thing, my cousin like, yo son, yo, grab the door, son. I'm like, all right, hold on. We looking around, making sure ain't nobody coming because it was like, where we were at, it wasn't like a main road. You know, you can't do stupid stuff like that, you know, on no main road because it would have been even more embarrassing with the door flying off. But I was jamming though, you know. Busta came on, rah rah like a dungeon dragon. Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? Sitting there smoking. Van door slid off and got out, picked the van door up, put it in the van, took off. Yo, that was hilarious. But I'm telling you, yo, I'm gonna make you laugh. I'm gonna make you laugh. And you know what? I was thinking about going by the comedic name of LOL because I got stories if I could put it together and work on it and stuff like that. And if I had the time. But with everything, and you know, I ain't gonna bore you with all that. This is comedy section on Neutron 570. Thank you all for tuning in. All right, let's go into the next one. This one is another hot boxing story. Okay? Now, the vehicle was an old Chrysler Daytona Laser. And the way they were shaped, they were like this. And then like the back was it was a hatchback. 2-door. And it was me, my one cousin, and my older aunt, which, you know, she was real cool. And she liked to smoke and stuff like that. She wanted to smoke with the big dogs. So she decided to, you know, come in the car, bake with us, you know. We sitting there, she's in the back, right? But being in the back seat of a Chrysler Daytona Laser, the old Chrysler Daytona Lasers, like this was like 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? This was like a long time ago. Well, for me. And those cars, if you smoked in it, of course we were parked. We were only in my driveway. And it was like something happened to the car and it broke down. So we used to just still use it to just bake in. You know, if we wanted to, you know, smoke out the house and hide from my aunt and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't like get caught because we were young. I mean, I think I was like still in high school then. Exactly. But anyway, back on the story. All right. Now, it was me, my cousin, my one aunt. We sitting there. We smoking, you know, passing it around. You know, pass it to mine in the back. And all of a sudden, you hear in the back, she's like, she's like, y'all let me out of here. Because it was like so much smoke in the back. It locked it in, and she thought she could smoke with the big dogs. Nope. We opened the door, let her out, and she was okay, but she learned not to smoke with us. All right, let's move on to the next story. I hope you all are enjoying this because you know what? This is actually coming together pretty good. I just wanted to make sure I put everything all together, like my whole comedy section. Thank you for tuning in again to Neutron 570. It's a pleasure to perform for you all on YouTube. My channel is free. I'm doing this, you know, just because I like to. All right. Oh, this is a classic right here. This is... Okay, no. Before I say this, no animals were harmed in this story. Okay? My aunt, she had a Chihuahua. And the Chihuahua, her name was Missy. Now, before I even start this story, Missy passed away, but Missy passed away because she grew old and, you know, she died of, you know, natural causes. Before I say this story, for the animal lovers, this is just a comedy show, all right? Now, she had a Chihuahua, and the Chihuahua name was Missy. And, all right, Missy, she was the color of a Rottweiler. Those colors, the brown and the black. And she was like, you know, soon as you come in the door, she'll be on your freaking, she'll be on your ankle. And you was like, yo, get off my leg. You're like, get off my leg. And so, me and my friends, we decided, all right, we used to have this little room. It was like real small. We all used to go in there. All my buddies, just like, maybe like 4 of us. They'll come. They'll bring one already rolled up. And we're sitting in this little room. We practically shoulder to shoulder almost. Only in enough freaking space to like pass it around because it was like a little workshop room in the garage in my aunt's house. And it was small. And we were able to go in there and smoke without her knowing. She'll think we downstairs, you know, just playing basketball or something like that, you know, just boxing or something like that, because we used to always box and work out and everything like that when we were younger. So that was how I grew up. And you had to be nice with the hands growing up when I grew up because, you know, the streets that was there when I was coming up were a whole lot different than they are now. You know, you couldn't be no weak person. All right, let's get back to the story now. My Aunt Chihuahua, Missy, she used to like to bark at you every time you go in the door. So all my boys, you come over, boom, 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 boom. Now we're about to put some clouds up. You know what I'm saying? And we're all in there, we're smoking. Missy, she come in there and she wouldn't leave us alone. She kept barking. And she would have kept barking. My aunt would have known that we were down there in the garage. And she would have came and we wouldn't have had time to air the garage out. Because after you open the room, we would have opened the main garage to air it out before she come down, you know? So she kept barking outside the door. And remind you, okay, the room was really small. It was like just 4 of us just standing there. Each of us had one that they bought from their own house and, you know, twisted up or whatever and smoking and boom, 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 boom. She kept barking, so my one buddy grabbed Missy up. Not hurtfully, but, you know, like, yo, let's give her a shotty. I was like, all right, for those that know, you know, who are older back in the day, you know, a shotty is just basically, you know, a reversal of your blunt or your joint and pushing the smoke outward and the other person inhaling. That is your old school shotgun. That's what we used to like to call it, shotties. And yeah, they used to call me Iron Lung. But anyway, let's get back to this story. All right. Missy, she wanted to always bark. My boy, he was like, yo, let's give her a shotty. It'll calm her down. So she won't bark, so your aunt don't come down here so we could freaking smoke, air the garage out, and be out, you know? So that's what we did. My boy held her like this. And my other boy went like this and all that. Meanwhile, while she's doing that, my aunt, you know, don't want my aunt to find out that we in the garage smoking, so we have time to air it out. She wanted to bark, so we calmed her down. After that, freaking, she went, She was our friend after that. She was our best friend after that. Man, these stories, I swear, I was up. When I wrote all this material, I was up a month straight. I just kept waking up and stuff was just coming to me. And I wrote all this down and I did all the other videos under the comedy section of my channel, Neutron 570. Thank you all for tuning in. It's a pleasure for me being here on YouTube and performing my material for you. Thank you, thank you. I hope you all enjoying the show. And it's a pleasure for me to be here. All right, let's get back to this. That was a funny story. Now, I told you I'm a little new at this. Oh, yeah. That dog was so smart. Missy was so smart. Yeah, she might have barked and stuff like that, but my one cousin, I don't know why he did it, but, well, I know why he did it, because he probably got tired of the dog. He was trying to leave the dog. Let's see, we was in Lower East Side, Manhattan. He decided to take Missy all the way to Brooklyn. Missy found her way from Brooklyn all the way to Lower East Side, Manhattan. Made it there before him, waiting for him at the door. Yo! Freaking Missy was, rest in peace, Missy. You know, I got love for Missy. It was a smart dog. It was a good dog. All right. Now, this is a section called Halloween. And this is a section that it was a very interesting experience living in Coney Island. Because I was living in Coney Island, to be quite specific, Sea Rise Projects, 33rd Neptune, Sea Rise Projects, 5th floor. My aunt, it was me, my aunt, my cousins, and it was always fun. It was dangerous in an aspect of living out there if you weren't careful who you hung out with and if you hung out with the wrong crowd. You had to be a leader, not a follower, because being a follower in these bad neighborhoods will get you in a closed casket quick, you know? But yeah, me living out there, I used to love it. You crazy? We had Sal's Pizza right there. And my aunt had a tab. She used to, before we went to school, I was going to Lafayette High School. And that school was bad because that school was surrounded by 4 of the baddest housing projects. If you looked at it on an overview map, Lafayette was right in the middle. You had Marlboro houses. You had these other project buildings, really bad back then. You know, and these ain't no places where you walking in thinking you know, original Don Dada, thinking you're top shotter. You know, these neighborhoods were like, when you walk, you always was on your P's and Q's. You know what I'm saying? And as long as, and I always say, it's always how you are as an individual. Because when I lived out there, the stories I may tell you, yeah, you be like, yo, it's crazy. Yeah, it was crazy, but it happened. Like Halloween, for instance. All right. Halloween, and this was a lot of years ago now. This is like, this is like 30 something years ago. And Halloween was really dangerous. You crazy? It was crazy back then. People used to throw microwaves and refrigerators off the top floor. These were big buildings. And you crazy, like frozen eggs at people, bottles of not all the way closed, but with piss in it, throwing it at people. Yeah, it was crazy. Let's just say Halloween, you did not want to mess around. You had to be very safe around there. But it was so much fun because you'll nearly die on Halloween just trying to have fun and dodging other people trying to freaking hurt you and trying to freaking chase you down because it's Halloween and they freaking want to throw stuff at you and just, you know, it was wild back then. But I loved it though, you know. I mean, when I think about it, I survived all that. And, you know, the Sea Rise projects back then, not even the delivery man would come there. Like to deliver Chinese food? What? Because it was like so bad around there though. Like it was a high robbery rate. It was crazy. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that was how it was back then. It was crazy. And I survived and lived through all that. It made me the person I am today. And getting back on topic, yeah, Halloween was crazy out there. It was very dangerous. And just when I think about it and like the stuff that went on in craziness was like, ooh. But then I eventually moved from there and moved somewhere else because it's not easy for someone back then for people to make it out of Coney Island if you weren't book smart. you were either book smart or you knew how to fight, you knew how to play basketball, you knew how to play some type of sport. Those were how you got out of there, you know? And I was glad and just want to say thank you to my aunt who actually got me out of there. Because, I mean, who would have knew? Who knew where I would be right now? Because it was always one of those places where you constantly standing your ground, you know, because somebody always want to test you. You know, it was no soft people out there. You know, it was dangerous. Back then it was dangerous. I mean, it was that was that was back when more gangs were migrating to New York and boroughs were going crazy with different gangs and stuff like that. It was a lot more violent out there. Not just in Coney Island, but all boroughs were dangerous to go in because like I learned wherever you move at, whatever state, there's a hood there. You know, it don't always have to be burnt down buildings and stuff like that. You could walk into a nice neighborhood and don't know it until you get robbed or shot. Because I've seen that. But anyway, let's get back to some comedy. Yeah. Welcome back to Neutron 570. This is the comedy section of my channel, and I'm giving you nothing but some good material of true stuff that happened to me. Thank you all for making my channel a part of your life, and it's a pleasure for me to do this for YouTube. My channel is free. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, hit the alert bell for all my videos. What you waiting for? I'm over here busting my butt over here putting this material together, and this is actually maybe the second take I did combining all the material because I'm not good at doing this. I just started doing this, and I wrote all this within just a 30-day span. It was just I had ideas flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing, and I happened to write it all down, and I also have it on my playlist on my channel, which is under the comedy section of my channel. All right, let's get back to it. I remember when I got my first tattoo. Do you remember when you got your first tattoo? I remember when I first got my first tattoo. It was actually this one right here, to be particular. And I was living with my aunt at the time, and she was real strict. She had real strict rules on what went on in her house, you know, had to respect it. And that's what I did. I did respect it, but I mean, I was already in high school, and you know how we all are. I went and got it anyway. It was a friend of ours, and she knew this guy that was doing tattoos in his house, and he was a guy from a well-known biker gang, you know, but I won't say the name and anything like that. But anyway, he welcomed me into his house. I got some ink. He actually did both of my inks. This one and this one right here. Anyway, I'm sitting there, and it was an interesting experience. Here go me sitting in a tattoo chair. All right, sitting there, you know, he's working on my neck the whole time. I had to stay like this. And now, remind you, I say he was older. Like when I first got introduced to him, you go in his house, he had his bikers club jacket hanging up with his Harley in the living room. And he was a really good guy. And he was sitting there, and I'm leaned over like this, and he's doing a tattoo. I didn't know the guy had a problem with his nerves, though. And he needed his wife because I guess he had like a shaky hand. Oh my goodness. I shouldn't, if I knew that before I freaking sat there and freaking, he was already like started with it and stuff like that, you know. He was like yelling at his wife, come here, this and that. And he took his medicine he needed to take for his nerves. And he's doing a tattoo, so he did that tattoo, did this tattoo, and I got this one first. And when I got it, okay, like I said, I wasn't supposed to get it. But, what did I do? I went to go get it anyway. And I go in the house and I walk in. You gotta walk up the stairs. And there was like a long glass cabinet. I don't know what you call it. One of those China net cabinet thingies with the plates and stuff in it or whatever like that. All right. I'm walking up there past it. But I made sure when I walked past there, I was coming past there like this. And she was on this side. So I walked past it like this. And then I had to go back across. And I try to like dip over this way. And she seen it. And she was like, excuse me? What's that? You know, she's my aunt. I would never hit a woman even if she wasn't my aunt. I don't believe in domestic violence or anything of that nature. She slapped the crap out of me. She was like, didn't I tell you not to get tattoos in my house? She smacked me, and I was like, I just looked at her. I was like, but I was like, you know what? All right, I was in the wrong, and I took that, ate that. What? But anyway, now let's get into another section I like to call when you have an old vehicle. And this one in particular was a 88 Nissan station wagon. It had sliding doors like a van. Now, it was stick shift. It was 5-speed. And it was funny because when I originally got this car, it was because I didn't have a vehicle and I was with someone. We had broke up and I needed a vehicle. And not only I needed a vehicle, I needed the vehicle because I didn't have a place to live. So I needed the vehicle, plus I needed the vehicle so I could live in the vehicle, you know? So I was working with this guy at my job, and no lie, this was a long time ago. He sold me a car. It was for $100. That's how, when he seen me and he seen the situation I was in, he came up to me. That was actually back when you were able to actually find cheap cars like that. Now, with car upgrades and the technology and stuff like that, you don't really see like cheap cars like that no more. But anyway, $100, 88 Nissan Stanza station wagon. The doors slid open like a van, the back doors. The front doors open normal, like, normal outward, but the back door slid open like a van. It was like weird. And, all right, the color of this car, was sky blue. All right, it was an Autobot. It was an auto body shop experiment that the guy had did when he was in high school, and this car sat behind his house for so many years, and he decided, well, he wanted to get rid of the car because he had it. He seen someone needed it. And like I said, back then you were able to find cheap cars. Like people were just getting rid of because, they gradually eventually upgraded and stuff like that. But anyway, this car was sky blue with the back half from behind your head to the back of the car was rainbow tint. No lie, rainbow tint. Like rainbow. It was weird. I didn't care. I didn't care about the color of the car. I didn't care about the freaking rainbow tint. I just knew it had an engine. It ran. And it even came with a bunch of junk in it. I didn't even care. It was $100. That was the whole thing. It was full of junk. And once I got it and I cleaned out the vehicle, it was a nice vehicle. I drove that thing literally to it. Like, I ran it to the wheels. I ran it to the wheels fall off until it wouldn't run no more. And the car it was a little, an interesting car, I'm telling you. So, yeah, 88 Nissan Stanza station wagon. That was one interesting car. I mean, when I got the car, okay, the way I was back then, like I loved driving also, and I was just a little more daring and more crazier back then. I used to just, do crazy stuff with vehicles. And I tried it with that little car and damn near almost tipped the whole car over. I was coming around a turn and here I am. I'm just doing my thing, but the car started lifting up. Had it on two wheels. I was banging them gears. It was stick shift, clutch, banging them. But yeah, that car was a good memory car. Matter of fact, I had an 88 Honda Prelude. That was a good car too. Man, the little Honda Preludes, they had the little flip lights. Y'all remember those with the flip lights? Mine's, I got it from a used car. I got it from a used car lot, and the used car lot. This car, for the year it came. I still remember it to this day. It was my favorite car. Like just when I sat in the car. Okay, I'm 6 foot. When I sat in this car, 88 Honda Prelude, it was perfect position for my hand with the shifter and perfect position just for someone my size. I used to love that car. I had a sunroof on it. You couldn't tell me nothing. I didn't have rims on it, but I had some freaking hubcaps on there. They looked just like rims. I kept them babies clean. Whoop, whoop, whoop. You couldn't tell me nothing. But anyway, I used to do all types of crazy stuff with that car. But that car, yo, that was back when the Fast and the Furious movies came out. And everybody was souping their cars up with the ground effects and making their cars go super fast. I remember one time I was going to work and I was on the highway and I seen one of these freaking cars with the freaking lights underneath it. And I knew my car, it went 145, but it also went higher than 145, about 145, 160, but it was probably like 170. As long as you know how to hit your gears, it's not good to like be pushing your car like that. But I seen this car and I started getting hyped. I was like, oh, I just got finished watching Fast and the Furious. I was like, you can't tell me nothing. What? Whoop, 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 whoop. I'll be out. But anyway, I don't do stuff like that. I don't do stuff like that no more. It was like I said, I was a little more we were young, we were more daring, and as you get older, you mature and life goes on, yada yada yada. But anyway, I used to love that car. That was a great car. Now, let's head into the section when I was living with my dad. All right, this story is funny. Now, here I am, because like me and my dad, he specialized in kung fu, different types of martial arts, and he used to go to these classes and come home, practice, and show me. And we would practice back and forth. So I was able to learn a lot of stuff without having to go to a class because he used to teach me, because that's what we did. If we weren't doing that, we were working out, But anyway, freaking, I was in the shower, right? And this is when you're younger and you learn to lock the door when you're in the shower. Because if you got family like mine that want to do pranks on you, you'll learn to lock that doorknob when you're in the shower. So, I'm in the shower. Yeah, girl. Jamming. Yeah. What? Mm-hmm. Yeah. My dad come in with a pot of cold water and threw it on me in my nice hot shower. That no sooner that I don't know if y'all ever had that happen. Have you ever had that happen? Because when it happened to me, I know how people be doing all these crazy recovery processes and stuff, like the cold dips, like with ice and stuff like that. But man, it's crazy when you're in there and you're off guard. I'm in there showering. You're all sick of some method, man. I need to get by. You're all that I need. I'll be there for you. If you keep it real with me, I keep it real with you. And then your whole skis and we in there, boo. On top of that, you got a good part with you. Let's get back to it. Taking it, but he threw the cold pot on me, right? And when he did that, it was not pleasant. I instantly was like, oh, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, damn. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, yo, this is messed up. I locked the door after that one. Thank you all. I hope, because me putting all these stories together and putting it all in one show, I actually think I'm doing pretty good. But anyway, let's move to the next story because, like I said, I have everything written down. It's the first time I'm doing it, so I do have a guide of my material that I wrote down anyway. Oh, when I used to live with my dad, all right, he was ex-military. You wake up, you be sleeping. Yeah. You dreaming of some, Tootsie Roll. Tootsie Roll to the left, to the right, to the front. You dreaming of bikinis and chicks in bikinis and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden, come snatch the blanket off. On your ass and on your feet. Let's hit the blacktop. That was all the time. That was all the time. That was how my dad. That's how my dad used to wake me up. He didn't play around. He was a firm believer of never waste daylight. He's a great man. He's still alive. He's a great man. But the way he raised me strict. I wasn't out there. I thought twice before I did something wrong because I knew of the consequences that my dad did not play. I knew if I'm out here hanging with the wrong crew, doing the wrong things, I knew if I got in trouble, my dad was gonna whip my ass. You know what I'm saying? And he did not shy away from discipline at all. Okay? Let's get back to it. Now, to top all this off, after he would yank the blanket off and yell at you, on your ass, on your feet, let's hit the blacktop. Start working out. It was like, I didn't have like much of a like normal childhood. It was like, well, because of the neighborhoods I lived in and stuff like that. I mean, I also lived in, I remember when Maryland was bad back in the day. I used to live out there all those years ago. Like, these was a lot of years ago. It was different. It was a difference between like how things went down in New York back then, and then how things went down in like, I lived in Washington D.C. too. I remember the bad area out there was like Southeast. That was a bad area, but there was a lot of stuff going on, and it's like that in a lot of cities though. I mean, back then it was just more dangerous, and now it's dangerous still. And I just want to say, stop the violence, increase the peace. For all the people that are out here going the wrong way, you're better than this. You can rise above and be who you want to really be. All right, thank you all for tuning into my YouTube channel, Neutron 570. I still got more material, more stuff to hit you with. All these stories of crazy stuff. Some of it's funny. Well, you know what? All of it's funny. All right. Let's get into boxing with my cousins. Yo, all right. This is how it went. This is when we lived in Coney Island. We used to walk around. It was me, my few of my cousins, my one homie, and it was like a small group of us. We didn't walk around thinking we were all tough guys and stuff. We used to box. We used to go like different projects and box because like that's what we did back then. Everybody was always on the court playing ball. Everybody was always doing either something athletic, or you were either doing sports or you were hitting the books. And hopefully you were not out there in the streets hanging with the wrong people, but some people got wrapped into that. I seen it firsthand. You know, I've lived through a lot. I've seen my share of stuff, been through my share of things, and I just happy that I'm still alive. You know, I may not be a person who has money. I got a regular job. I'm a forklift driver, and I'm a dad. I support my young one, me and my wife, and she works, and we make ends meet. We may not have fancy things like some people have, and you know, the glitz and glamour and you know, material things. May not have that, but we have each other, and I'm thankful for my health, my family's health. And I just want to say God bless everybody that's watching my show right now. This goes out to you all. I really appreciate you all watching my show. This is actually a long material list of a long show. Now that I think about it, I'm already at 44 minutes. All right. But anyway, we used to walk around with boxing gloves in our book bags, and we used to go to different projects, and we used to box different projects and stuff like that. It was all out of respect. Nobody was getting severely hurt or killed or anything like that. You box, you earn respect, you live to fight another day. That's how it was back then. I used to love it. I mean, I've done crazy stuff where, all right, my one cousin, he got me really pissed off. So we couldn't find the other set of gloves. So I'm like, yo, son. I was like, yo. I'm like, you know what? Forget that. Yo, give me one glove. He took the southpaw. I took the northpaw. And I wrapped the other arm, tied the other arm behind my back. And he did too. And that was how we fought. And you know what? We were fighting right in the staircase right there. You have the staircase from the 5th floor connected to like the old folks home right there. It was like the senior citizens part of the projects right there in C-Rise Projects. It's like a door for security and it would lead you into the next building. Well, back then, like I said, it was bad back then. Okay, I'll tell you how it was. Pissy elevators, pissy staircases. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. So we in the staircases, fighting right there. There's piss on the floor, whatever. So you better hope you don't hit the ground because you not only your pride is gonna be hurt, but you're gonna have God knows what all over you. So we fighting, and I'm like, boom. Boom, 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 boom. That was why I started fighting North Pole and South Pole. You know, because, like, it's good to know both sides. But back to the story. Yeah, I won because he was too cocky. But shout out to my cousin. Much love to you. One love, bro. Anyway. Back to the comedy show right here. Thank you all for tuning in to my YouTube channel, Neutron 570. I really appreciate the audience I'm getting and the response. Thank you to all the new viewers and new subscribers. If you never heard of my channel, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, hit the alert bell for all my videos. I really appreciate how you all make my channel a part of your life. Now, let me give me a brief moment to catch up to where I need to be. Oh, even when we moved to PA, when we moved from Coney Island, when we moved to PA, we kept the tradition alive. You know, because back when I moved to Pennsylvania, that was a lot of years ago. You talking about? I actually went to high school out here also. So I've seen the school system out here also. It was a lot safer. Woo! It was a lot safer than Lafayette High School. Because Lafayette High School, all right. You know how you go to the airport and you got to put your stuff through the bag scanner? Yep, you had to do that. And after that, you had to go through a metal detector. I remember on the first day of school at Lafayette, very interesting school. But I ain't downplaying it. I lived it. I'm here today to share the story. This was a lot of years ago. It was a very dangerous school, though. And the reason for that was because of all the housing projects that surrounded it, you know? And back then, when it was those years, a lot of stuff went on. And a lot of people don't notice. But yeah, it used to be really crazy back then. And Lafayette was a bad school. I remember the first day I was at that school, they're like, okay, everyone, we're standing in school. And everybody's standing in line to go in. First day of school. And they're like, all right, here are the rules of the school, this and that. You can't do this, that. No guns, no knives, no drugs, blah, 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 blah. This isn't prohibited and all this. Well, when they did go across the section, when they said, oh, you can't have weapons in the school and stuff like that, all you heard was metal pings, like when a pocket knife hits the ground, like uh like a marble type ground, like that's all you heard was people dumping their stuff and like kicking it. So they didn't get stuck with it, whatever, because you couldn't have it. And that was like just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, back then they had a game where it was called Punch Out. I never participated in this game. Like I said, back then it was crazy. This I seen this dude. It was basically, the game was, if you got punched, you had to punch the first person you see. That was very, very messed up. I do not condone that. This is just comedy show. But I've lived through it, and like I said, I've seen and been everywhere, I've seen it happen. Alright, so dude, he gets hit. Boom. Okay, it's his turn. He gotta hit somebody. So he turns around and he hit this dude that was coming up the stairs. Hit him back down the stairs. Boom, 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 boom. That was how crazy it was. When you look at movies like Lean on Me and like other movies from like back then, like shootouts on streets and drive-by stabbings and all types of stuff. It was very dangerous if you was hanging with the wrong people and you were out there doing wrong. Trust me. So a lot of people always strive to get out of there. I hope you all are enjoying. This is a pleasure for me doing this for you all. Thank you. I hope you all are enjoying this show that I'm giving you all, because this is a lot of material that I'm putting towards in this segment right here. I actually still have more written down. To be quite honest, I think I got like another show of material that I could do, because I'm almost on an hour right now. If I was to put my material together and put it together correctly and in like a way to where I could do a show, I think I would be able to do that. I know I could be able to do that. Or maybe I get some help, or God blesses me somehow. Thank you all for joining my comedy show. Welcome to Neutron 570. I really appreciate everyone. All the new subscribers, all the new viewers, the whole audience who's enjoying this. Thank you all. I'll bow and show respect, much respect to you all, and have a great day.